Welcome in, everybody. RFU Refugees podcast. Ted here, John here. Like a Jaime Moreno signing a contract with DC United in 2004, we are back from our small little hiatus. We're reunited. That's the best analogy I could come up with. So
what was his number for Red Bulls? What did he wear?
He wore number 9, I think. Yeah. And then he came to DC and wore number 99 because a certain guy named Freddie Adu had number 9 at the time. So
couldn't take it from him.
Weird situations. John, how you doing, my friend? How was your weekend? How was your holiday weekend? Hope it was good.
It was nice. I always forget exactly what I did, but I don't recall doing too much. I have I watched soccer. This has been a disappointing, other than the Spirit. We'll talk about the Spirit, but I would say kind of a bummer week and a half for DC United, and that's not why we haven't had a show until now. We obviously had a Friday show that was very brief. Ted's been putting out the written content, just the way life has been. But we're in the summer dog days, less like DC United is, and we're gonna get through it. We just got to get to the transfer window,
Yeah.
When we sign our third DP, third chair co-host to revitalize us with energy and a European scoring touch.
Yeah, and it has been it's been a bit of a drag. I guess this week has mostly been busy. The holiday weekend was nice. Went to Richmond.
Nice.
Sadly, can't line it up with a Kickers home game. I've been very much missing that, but like you said, the soccer was the soccer. I think
you could have seen the Richmond women's team this weekend, couldn't you? Or was that Sunday?
That was Friday. That was missed it. Friday, I believe. Yeah, so I just missed it because I think we went back late Friday. I looked at that. We did go do the. I did the Kickers watch party where I was also watching DC. So anyway, that was my weekend. My week's been mostly just a craziness of work. So, and also writing soccer content. So sorry for not getting a preview up. I don't think these 3-match weeks are going to work for me.
Nope.
For getting preview content up.
Once the Patreon quadruples in size, we'll consider revisiting the amount of writing.
Yes.
That I have in drafts a post game of the last Spirit game. This is not working for me. I need some help. We are taking all internships. All available interns for this summer season.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely doing the end of the post game content. I was actually motivated. This is the first loss I was kind of motivated last week to kind of write something because, and I'm finding it helps this podcast. It helps collect my thoughts and get them down. So it serves that function at least. Let's get into it. I think. Rather than kind of going game by game, I think we just kind of need to kind of group all of it together.
I think it's a theme. I think the specific results are not as important as the general theme.
Yeah. So how are we feeling, John? How are you feeling? I'm very curious about your thoughts. I have my
vibes.
Thoughts.
The vibes are bad. I think I said that in the IG live at the halftime, that it's remarkable. And I think maybe it was Steve Goff. I listened to the post game press conference for the Montreal game, and they were like, man, things are different now. Like, and Troy was basically like, well, yeah, we kind of expect that, he made it sound like the coaching staff is under no illusion what this team actually is, which made it sort of sound like he was like, I said from the start, we're not there yet. And we had a good run and it felt good and we were happy about it. And some players were overperforming or performing more than we thought. But at the end of the day, we knew that this team is thin.
Mm-hmm.
I think, we'll get into this specifically later, but my general takeaway is they need a win for just to revitalize the vibes a little bit, just to get people thinking that it's going to happen, thinking that they can go into any game and win 3 points like they did at the beginning of the season. They're on such a run of sort of underperforming expectations, or not taking points that are there for the taking, that I think it's just starting to cascade a little bit. I think there's not a lot of internal belief. That's just that's how it appears from watching them and listening to some of them after the fact. What do you think? What's your general take?
Yeah, I mean, I think the team looks, the energy just isn't there right now. You don't see you don't see the team sort of imposing their will in how they want to play on other teams, particularly the past couple matches. I'll say the first half, the first half of the like Chicago game, I thought was fine. It wasn't maybe 100%, but I thought it was fine, and I think they get a deserved goal out of it. Chris McVeigh, who was, in my opinion, the man of the match of that game, then picks up.
Unfortunately, his knee was sacrificed to the gods for scoring that goal.
Yeah, it's I think this is a team maybe obviously in desperate need of reinforcements. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't know if the vibes. I'm kind of in this like mode of like, I mean, this is kind of what I expected this team to be like beginning of the year. This is what I expected this team to struggle. I expected them to go out. Maybe they would, pick up every bit of the game or two. I was surprised at how quickly things kind of came together. I think it surprised maybe, Troy Lesane and some of the other coaching staff, because I mean, it wasn't expected this team would come together so quickly. I think they took advantage of teams that were still trying to figure it out. Some teams that are still, working on figuring it out. And now we're kind of getting into the moment where, even the bad teams like Chicago, like, in this case, Montreal, like Montreal's not a good team. This is the team that still, I think DC could have had them if things had gone a little bit differently. But it's even those teams still have players on this team. They're not good players, but they're competent MLS level players that they can sort of fill in certain roles. And DC doesn't have that right now. And that's some fans might not like to hear it right now, but that was kind of a deliberate choice by the front office. Go ahead.
Let's talk about that right now. I think, I think that it was brought up in the post game. I think it was, again, Steve Goff, who I think likes to travel to Montreal. He's like one of the few guys that always actually goes when they're in Montreal, and I don't blame him. He was basically like, so that means you're going to call back all the loanees, right? And Troy was like, well, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't make sense. I'm very interested in their long-term development. And I'm like, all right, I get that. That is laudable for you to say that. Although if you look at their foot mob, they are not playing. Also, you're not really worried about Jeremy Garay's long-term development. Let's not
or Hayden
pretend.
Sargis
or Hayden Sargis. Matai, you are.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's clearly what you have to do. I don't understand. I get the argument of saying like, yeah, we're going to be a place where young players will go and feel confident that they're going to be taken care of and they're not going to be marginalized for the benefit of the team. I hear that. That's laudable and a good thing. However, in the particular circumstance that DC United finds himself in with a salary cap nightmare, sorry guys, this year is just going to be a wait. This year should have just been a wasted year, like they were the previous years, right? Like we need bodies. We cannot come into games with 14 outfield players. If you couldn't sign players or you couldn't do free agent moves, then at least the very least you keep the bodies you already keep the bodies you already have under contract on around so they can be there. So you're not like, well, we've got 2 goalkeepers, we can put them on the bench. That's fine. So that's like a micro problem. That's just saying like, all right, you got 3 loanees, make sure they're here. You have no attacking loanees. That's another problem. But then the broader question about how did you come into the season this way? The one thing that fans are upset about, I think mostly, I don't think there were other options. Other than signing free agents that were not good enough, and maybe, I don't even know, to league minimum contracts. That's really all they could have done. They're trying to set themselves up for next year. This year has all been about moving the pieces on the board in the right spots so that next year you can do what you need to do.
Yeah, and it's in hindsight, it's a shame because Christian Benteke is lighting it up right now. 15 goals in the year. I saw a stat that apparently he's only the second player in DC United history to score 15 goals. Where I was looking back at that stat. Something like he's the first one since like Jaime Moreno in like 1997 to do that or something like that. Like at this point in the season to have like 15 goals. So he's been fantastic. I mean, he had 2 goals today. They got him, for all their struggles against Montreal, they got him in the right spots. And when you get him in those right spots, he scores goals. He didn't score against Chicago because they didn't find him in those spots. And I wrote about that in my post game. Like he had one shot from inside the 18. Like, that's not good enough. Here they gave him at least 2 or 3 looks, and he scored on 2 of them. So, it's a shame that we're kind of wasting. I really think it's more of a shame we're wasting a year of like Benteke.
Prime or like MLS Prime Benteke. You're right. Yeah. Absolutely.
And
think about a team that can take advantage of all these goals.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's a shame, and I feel really awful for him because, there's no guarantee he's back next year. I think he should, but I'm not McKay. I'm not Mackay. I'm not seeing what else is out there. So, I think we do have to ask ourselves, like, what do we want out of this team? And I feel like fans, we all talk about how we wanted this team to start long-term planning. We wanted a long-term plan, long-term vision. That comes with some pain, some short-term pain. And I think the salary cap situation was atrocious for DC. You have guys like Dahome on $1 million. You have Rodriguez on $1 million. You had at one point Yaz on $675,000. They used the buyout contract to get him, and then immediately there's a new guy coming in, and I think that was a kind of just a deliberate choice of like, look, we're not gonna panic, and we're not just gonna make signings to fill bodies or to look and find a need and then make a trade that dumps an unwanted player, which, I mean, Dahome was not wanted in Vancouver, and you can see why. And they're flying, like, they're doing really well right now. They're, they've elevated themselves since that trade. And I think as painful as these past 2 games have been, I am still think it was still the right decision. Because that was my big question coming into the season was like, what was Mackay going to do? Was he going to just try to get some players together, get a roster together, like see out the year, and then things get a little better? And I think what he said was, no, I'm gonna, I have the most clout I have right now. I'm gonna spend it maybe a little bit on, taking some losses, and maybe we don't make the playoffs this year, but we come in sort of looking better next year. So
I'm gonna use that political capital signing Pirani to a under 22 deal.
that's been the one like move that just literally.
His one blemish, and I wish he wouldn't. I mean, he went out. He like stuck his neck all the way out on that deal. It was basically like Casper didn't even know that was me. So you're welcome, everybody. Basically, so I think he'll regret that one a little bit. Yeah, but I mean, you're right. It's hard to live through a season where results sort of shift your expectations, right? If they had been disappointing from the start, it'd be like, all right, this is it. We're on the suffer bus. All of us together. We're going to get through this year. And I think, what if that is so? What are expectations for the rest of the year? What do we need to see? What's the most important thing that we can get from this club? Is it continued progress? Is it progress of young players? Is it a definable identity? Is it? The problem is like the identity and like the
identity is there. I mean, it's there.
So the mental strength to not concede and to not give up points from winning positions, the making sure you don't start slow and give up a goal in the first 10 minutes, which continues to over and over again stick them in the eye. Like that's important to solidify. Like you're not going to win every game. And you can't control all elements of the game. You can't keep every team from scoring early, and you can't hold every lead. But I think what's important is to develop an identity that includes those things as like base, like assumptions that you should, if you're on this team, like, well, we have a problem with this and we have a problem with that. So like, that's important to me. I think that's, and then I want to figure out, there aren't too many more young players. Like, I mean, Christian Fletcher is one that we could talk about probably in detail. Ted Cutivietro, what's he going to be? We're coming in. He's got an option here next year. I
think they actually.
Jacob Murrell?
I think he's got another year. They exercised that option, so I think it's a 2-year option. So he's here.
So there's some young players where you can look at this and say, all right, well, if we're not going to make a run in the playoffs and we're not able to make huge moves in the summer, what are we going to get out of this year? Will Peltola figure out MLS completely? And be ready next year to be a major contributor, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you highlighted the young players. I think that's what a lot of fans would have wanted, which is to see progress from the young players, and give Troy Lesesne credit. He's put those guys out there almost ahead of some other guys that maybe he could have done to get results. Rodriguez maybe being Dahome obviously on that left side. It's been suggested to play Fletcher out there. I think that would be just a horrible confidence like killer for him. I could see him flipping and sitting in Stroud's position maybe, but like, no, not. I don't think you want to play him out there on that left side all by himself and try to expect him to play a position he's never done before. And you've already got that replacement coming in. Like that replacement is, all but confirmed at this point, it seems like, based on what we're hearing. So
there is. So I think one consideration, we're not going to get into the specifics. Obviously, there was a red card for Matty Patola, which was second yellow. There was a yellow card accumulation situation for Dahomey. You've got a pretty banged up situation in the back from your center backs. Garrison Tubbs likely to play a part. Which,
hey, and to that situation about Garrison Tubbs, like, great, we get an opportunity to see what this guy can bring. And Troy was all full of praise for him. And I maybe sort of agree with that. I saw some things. He looks like he looks. I don't know if a size comparison to Donovan Pines is like similar, but he's definitely of that, like a tall center back type player. I'd be very curious to see what he brings now. I think he's going to get an opportunity to start on Saturday. So
I'm curious if there's not, I think we talked about this too, about what you do here on a quick turnaround against a Toronto team that's ascendant and a DC United team that is banged up and short of players. I'm wondering if you don't use this as an opportunity to rotate and maybe also set out more conservatively from a formation perspective. Maybe go 4 in the back. You put Martin Rod. You start some players that haven't gotten an opportunity. Martin Rodriguez from the start until his legs fall off. Make Jacob Murrell up front, and then stay. Garrison Tubbs, Herrera, Birnbaum. I don't know if Tubbs can play left back. I'm not really sure, but maybe if you're expecting almost no forward activity, maybe you can. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you see Santos probably take that position.
You're right. If he's healthy, he was still on minutes. He was on minutes in Montreal. He was able to make the bench and play a little bit, but he's still not 90 minutes fit. So he will feature. But
at this point, what else? What other option do you
have?
We
got 14 players, so
to start him. So it's and I want to push back. I don't agree with bringing Akambone, bringing other guys back. I don't think it's the. I think it's time to. I think bringing them back will only, and then to not play them, I don't think it's the right call. I think you just see out this game. You've played with 14 players before. It stinks
too many times.
You've got a 2 week. You got a 2 week break coming up. Like the team has a 2 week break coming up. So then they're not going to play during the international break. So hopefully Matty doesn't pick up an injury. Cross your fingers. But then he's back. He'll get a break. He'll get a rest. He'll come back. Hopefully better. I think a lot of people are saying he can't play that third center back. I disagree. I think he can. I think he's played it before. I think the team as a whole, I'm not going to absolve, Matty Patola of that. He needs to be better at sort of being that press and pushing forward. But I also think the team as a whole has sort of failed to really sort of establish that center midfield where he feels like maybe he can drift in there and be that force. So that's been the real struggle, I think, in the past couple of games. So we'll see if it fixes. This team, I feel like this team has put themselves against a wall, and then they always come out and put together a performance that's unexpected. Miami, I was expecting Miami to just walk over DC. Like they just looked bad in that third game, and DC played probably their best game of this stretch, sans the Atlanta game, and nearly picked up a point on the road against Messi, and they defended him exceptionally well that game, and then just fell asleep like at the last moment. We've talked about that moment, so I still think that there is a chance that that this team comes and puts a performance that might be a little surprising, and they might come out against a ascendant Toronto team, but still maybe a flawed Toronto team, especially in the back. So. We'll see.
I'll be there to see in person, so I'll let you know.
I'll be watching from home, so
I'll see Garrison Tubbs out there starting, and I'll, yeah. Well, we'll see. It's certainly the break comes at a good time. When does the window open? Is it not till July.
It's July like 18th or something like that. So
well, we are who we got. So
yeah,
it was funny. There was a this made me laugh, and I hadn't told anybody until I'm telling everyone on the podcast. There was a post on Instagram this morning for DC United welcoming a new owner to the group. I didn't know who the guy was. I was like, maybe he's a free agent. Great. Well, what does he play? Defense? What does he play? Does he play forward? we'll take him. And then it was like, oh, he's an NBA player. I was like, oh, he does have the size. I think he could play center back, but unfortunately not a player.
Yeah. I think the situation is, deliberate, and I guess the deliberate nature of it, I'm sure there's some people who will be upset. My only ask to you is if you're upset, and you're like, well, they should have done this, they should have done better. I should have said, maybe there's a sign. I think it shows just how badly managed this team has been, that they were sort of forced into this. Because I guarantee if you asked Makai, is this what you would have wanted? He would have said, absolutely not. But, look at this and look at this on ahead on the contract. And there was literally very little room for me to move. The guys we would have gotten were marginal. We might have been forced into 2-year contracts with guys that, we didn't want to be in, or had to make, sort of emergency trades that would have set us back. And, look at the trades he made. They were very smart, very well-defined, pretty good trades. You give up Chris Durkin, I think he's been pretty good for St. Louis, and you've gotten a guy that's leading the team in assists in Jared Stroud, and a defender who's played 90 minutes,
every game.
So, that's sometimes what it takes if you've been as bad as you've been for the longest time. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know if anything else you want to highlight from the games. I think we've kind of just grouped it all together. There's not any real specific analysis. We'll maybe get to that when it's a little more fresh, but.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's any questions from people on Twitter. Probably not. Twitter was just a lot of anger, I think.
Yeah,
in general.
Which and I think there's some people saying oh, I can't be angry. I'm like, you can be angry, absolutely be angry. I'm more. I'm not telling you how to feel or what to do. I'm more telling you that maybe there's a reason to direct your anger, or maybe there's there's always anger is easy. It's easy to Monday morning quarterback this and be like, well, they should have signed more players. And I said, okay, yeah, maybe they should have, but I mean, look at the situation they're in, and maybe take a look at the little bit of the long-term picture. If a year from now we have 14 players, then by all means, burn Ali Makai to the ground. I don't think that's going to happen.
If we only have 14 players in July, I think there are short-term options there that do not hamstring you long-term.
Yeah.
The Eric Hurtados of the world do not set you back multiple years when you sign them to be able to be an injury last chance before you have to call down fans from the Chico stand. I think that there are moves you can make. No questions. There was just, like I said, just rage on Twitter. So
yeah, we got let's check. We got anything on Discord?
Is it too early to think about Leagues Cup?
Maybe.
When's Leagues Cup? July, right?
July, yeah. So we'll have, David Schnegg should be there, I think, by the second game. So, of course, he'll be brand new. I don't know if he'll be training. Maybe he can get himself acclimated pretty well or pretty quickly to the team. Yeah, is it too early? I mean, I don't think it's not too early. I know there's a lot of people that are like, I don't care about Leagues Cup because of the Open Cup thing. I think that's fair. That's fine. I'm going to watch the team in Leagues Cup. We're going to cover the team in Leagues Cup because it's a tournament. So,
what do you think about Tyler Miller starting on Saturday?
I just don't know. Has Alex Bono really been at fault for
maybe
anything?
You don't have, but maybe not. Right? Maybe he doesn't. You're not necessarily saying Tyler Miller, you're not the starter, but I think after 3 games in a week, saying rotating your goalkeeper is not the craziest thing.
Maybe
I think it'd be you gotta play him eventually, right? You gotta he's making quite a bit of money. Might as well give him a shot. Somebody else, I don't know if it's a compliment or criticizing all of my music recs came from this year's Coachella Festival. First of all, thank you for that compliment. I am old, and I am very surprised that I still know who the people are in Coachella. So thank you for that not true statement. But I quickly get that in. My music recommendation right now is an album by Faye Webster called Underdressed at the Symphony. Check that out. It's great. That's all the questions we got.
Yeah.
Let's get Spirit.
Let's get to some fun.
Right. What if a team could start signing players all over the world, and their owner owned 9,000 teams, and all the people who were mad about the general manager were in fact wrong? What if that was the team we were talking about?
Yeah. And what if we were all wrong about a player that we wondered why is she out there? And suddenly she is deciding that she's going to be the best striker in the league at this point.
Hard competition, but certainly getting much better. So yeah, the Spirit are a team that cannot lose right now. They had a 3-2 win against Seattle after scoring 3 goals in the first half last week. Kind of a crazy game. Particularly, as the haze of time passes, it was a 3-1 halftime. Was it 3-1 at halftime? Did they score right before halftime? I think they did. Pretty sure that they did.
Yeah,
they did in the 45 plus 5, and then Mary Adams scores in the 97th minute. That game was wild because I think I said when watching the first half, I was like, score one more goal and sub all these players out, give some people some rest, and they controlled the game so much for the first half. And they were just attacking for fun. And Seattle's bad. Seattle is a poor team on the road. They've won, I think, 2 games all season. That's what you should do. The second half, they very much shut up shop. The stats do not. They were not going for 5, right? They were happy with 3. The goal that comes in the 96th minute is whatever. They get the 3 points. They are. Let's talk about Ule Sar. I think we teased on her. She is a player that came in last year, seemed to, from the outside perspective, like this must be Mark Parsons' player. She's playing the wing. Why did we sign a forward when we have Ashley Hatch, who scores 10 goals a year, no matter what, almost automatically? Sar was very poor on the left wing, contributed nothing, had no confidence, was not where she was meant to be, and it very much became sort of the congealed narrative of fans to say, like, get her out of here. This was a waste. This was a Parsons mistake. Let's roll. We've got options now in 2020, 2024, 2025. But that's not what happened anymore. She's now playing her natural position. She's confident. She's getting a relationship with Croy. She is her movement's been really good. Her passing has been great. Her finishing still not amazing. I think she still finishes like the really challenging, which was, she said at the beginning of the year, like, I finished the harder ones a lot more than I finished the easy ones. But they're now coming in such bunches that she's getting some of the easy ones too. The Spirit are a much more dangerous team with her now than they were before. Just talk about her. She's a revelation.
Yeah, I mean, 11 matches so far, 6 goals, 2 assists. She's hitting right at her. We talk about her expected goals. Her expected goals on FB Ref are 6.7, and she's at 6. So 0.7 behind that. So almost a goal behind that. So, but that to me says, that's pretty much right on your line. That's within, the XG to goals like range where like you can't be too upset about it. It's been so incredible to watch her now. It's like the confidence is there. Everything is there for her. I think the reason she is out there is because she, I think, has linked up so well with Croy Bethune. It's like, why change it? They have developed, I think a lot has been made of the Trinity Robin Croy Bethune connection. I think her connection with Sar, Croy Bethune's connection with Sar is actually like possibly better. Just she's finding the space, and Croy Bethune's able to hit that pass.
They're able to play through the middle, where Trinity is much more about getting wide and providing service. So, or has been so far this season. I think. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. There is that Ashley Hatch has become surplus to requirements. She's not a player that you would keep around. Somebody, I think I made that statement on Reddit, and someone's like, they just signed her to a new contract. They're not going to get rid of her. I was like, no, that happens pretty all the time. That's extremely normal. She got signed to a very from what I understand, from what we can understand, a team friendly deal. It was not exorbitant. It was not sort of getting in the way. There is a narrative that she goes to Utah. Maybe it's true. Don't know. They have a 9. They drafted a 9, so maybe who knows about the fit. She's going to want to go somewhere she can play where her natural position is. She is a duck out of water playing wing or taking the ball all the time in the midfield. I feel bad for her about that. But now she's an asset for the team to move in the summer window.
And don't forget the team has Lacey Santos coming in. She will undoubtedly, either be direct competition or will slide right into that sort of wing role. Where I think right now in the past couple games, they've had either they've had Hatch or they've had someone else in that role. I think against Seattle it was
Kate Wiesner.
Wiesner,
which is not the player you want to have playing left wing. Her strength is much more playing left back, but she can in a pinch. Yeah, Brittany Radcliffe also could have played there. So there's some options, but Hatch is too good to waste in that way.
Yeah, so it's fairly clear like they are rotating that role a little bit out there on the left, with the understanding that once Lacey Santos arrives, she slots right into that role. She's much more of a wide player, of a winger. So I think you have to look at it too. I think there would be some teams that would be inquiring and like, what is it going to take? So, and I think, would it be sad to lose Ashley Hatch? Absolutely. But I think from Ashley Hatch's perspective, she's not getting the minutes she was. And I would think if I were her and I knew my career was limited and I'm trying to play myself back into the national team as well, probably Olympics are a long shot, but the World Cup's coming up and that has a more expanded roster. There's going to be other tournaments, other games that you want to involve yourself with. And, we've seen how quickly, Croy Bethune and Hal Hirschfeld have gone up the depth chart on the national team just by having some good runs of form. So it's certainly possible for her.
Who becomes the backup 9 if Hatch gets traded? Is it Radcliffe? Is it
probably probably Brittany Radcliffe, or maybe
Trinity can play into this a 9 too.
She could. I think, or Courtney Brown perhaps, or Solano. We still have Solano as well.
That's true. Good point. Yeah, I think that you build a team. It'd be great to have a more proven backup 9, but I think in our salary cap league, you gotta lose somewhere. That's not the only. So the bit of news there is there's a defensive signing this week. Her name is she's new. She's a college draftee. She was playing in Gotham previous to this. Bringing her name up now. I think it was Wanaya Morgan. I think it was what it was. Sorry, it's coming up slowly.
Yeah, Wanaya Hudson.
I think Notre Dame. Yep, Notre Dame played she's a defensive player. I think this is probably cover for Anna Halferty, who's out for the year. But the more exciting move is Esme Morgan from Man City is rumored to be coming to the Spirit. I think more of an impact player. I think she changes the center back situation. Anna Patel becomes your rotational center back, which is great for the team. Provide some depth there. She can also play
maybe direct competition for Tara McKeown as well.
Maybe so that's good. They've got no competition right now, so that'll be good to have that be the case. Morgan, sometime player for the English national team. She's played up and down. She's played left back, right back, defensive midfielder. So I think this team values positional versatility more than most because of the style they play. So I think if that signing comes to fruition, a great move. We've been banging on about a center back. So
yeah,
mission accomplished.
You kind of did a little look into the FB ref. Definitely more of a ball playing type center back. So she's going to look for that pass, play that long pass. She's very good at that. So
you don't want to call her a Sam Staub replacement, but if you look at her 365-day center back and fullback passing maps, she is elite, or was in England. So
yeah, so I'm excited for that. I'm excited for what the direction of this team. I mean, this team is looking really exciting. Like Croy Bethune, I'm just doing the FB ref comparison. She's beating out Ashley Sanchez right now, sort of, and her comparison now comes up. Number one comparison is Ashley Sanchez.
Isn't that funny? Ashley Sanchez also interviewed this week on I forget the name of the show. It's called The Opponent. It's Sam Mewis's. Is it Christy Mewis or Sam Mewis's podcast? One of the Mewis sisters has a podcast. I'm not sure which, but they talked about. Go listen to it. I'm just going to summarize the very high notes that my friend Nancy, who listened to the podcast, told me. But one was saying it was weird. She was told ahead of time at the World Cup she wasn't going to play, so that was no surprise to her. Really, the performance of the World Cup was weird for her because she's like, "Well, I didn't do it, so it sucks." But it wasn't me, so I kind of have it's kind of a weird sort of lost feeling. She said that when she got called by Mark Krikorian, she picked up and said, "Oh, Mark, you're not calling a trade me or anything, are you?" And then it's like the meme about call 911, but not for me. So
it's like getting invited to a meeting with your boss and being like, "Oh, I'm not fired, am I?" And it's like, "Well,
take a seat, take a seat."
And then you see HR in the room. Yeah,
right. Why are you guys here? So yeah, check that podcast out. I think the other thing I covered it on the Friday show. The United Spirits are back in full effect. We've got Croy Bethune, Trinity Rodman,
Squad,
Aubrey Kingsbury, Casey Kruger, and then for the practice squad, Andy Sullivan and Kate Wiesner. I think I already said that. And then
Croy Bethune,
Gabby.
I think, is kind of on the training. I thought she was on the training squad. I think she's on the training. Hal Hirschfeld is on like the actual.
You're right.
Yeah.
Hal Hirschfeld, correct. Hal, who is featured in pictures already in training camp for Emma Hayes' first camp. I love it. It's great. Yeah. It's very, very cool that once again most of our team makes up the U.S. team. I think it's fantastic. Kingsbury, I'd be very interested. Obviously, there could be some reshuffling, right? And the goalkeeper, there could be reshuffling across the board. Emma Hayes is brand new. She's going to put her stamp. I imagine it would not be surprising to see a very different lineup in their first game where she's in charge, just to really say, like, it's a new age. We're going to see, like, watch Hal Hirschfeld start. Yeah. Watch it happen.
I mean, I think Hal Hirschfeld's getting the benefit because there's been so much change in sort of that defensive sort of holding midfield role where there's an opening. You know, Croy Bethune's not out there because there's still Rose Lavelle, who's still probably the best creative, attacker there. And
I don't think for much longer. I think the clock is ticking on a lot of those last World Cup winners. I think it's good that they're being put in and around the camp now because their time is going to come very shortly. Ashley Sanchez probably champing at the bit too. Did she make the roster?
I didn't see.
I don't know.
I didn't see. But I think, when you look at the U.S. women's national team, I think Hal Hirschfeld is the most interesting addition in that it's like almost like to the full camp. And it's like, we want to see you play. Her ascendance so far, I think, has been maybe not as noticeable, I guess, on the scoreboard as Croy Bethune's has had, but just equally impressive how she has stepped in, looked not out of place. I think she has been a huge reason why this year has taken off. Croy Bethune hitting, I think maybe was less expected, certainly talented, came right in and performed. And I think maybe that was a little expected. I don't think anybody was really thinking Hal Hirschfeld was going to be that. And we had Andy Sullivan. She's like, Hal's great. Like, watch out for her. She's going to be great.
How such a new player to the camp is the only player. I'm sorry, there's two players. Both Sam Staub and her. By the way, Sam Staub gets her first call in. But only players in their team jersey, in their club jersey, in the so that's that. Also, Ashley Sanchez did not make the roster. So yeah, take that for what it's worth. She certainly performed well in the league, so maybe she'll get a chance. This is a very young roster. Very exciting to see.
Croy Bethune, 4 goals, 7 assists. Ashley Sanchez right now 1 goal, 3 assists. So I'm not sure. Like, I mean, I think she's in a better situation. Also, the Courage are struggling this year, so I think there's more going on there than just her. But yeah. So,
but listen to the forward line for this roster: Crystal Dunn, Kat Macario, Alex Morgan, Trinity Rodman, Jaden Shaw, Sophia Smith, and Mallory Swanson. Yeah. Good luck, Korea.
That's a tough. That's a tough forward. I'm excited to watch the U.S. women's team. I think it's a bit of a holding pattern. I'm excited to see what this team can bring and what the new coach can bring as well. So,
Emily Sonnet still getting call-ins as the final senior veteran. I think on this. Casey Kruger also. It'll be interesting to see if she starts. Sam Staub getting a call-in, very cool. I've always my joke was always that I didn't want her to be called in because we had enough call-ins and we couldn't bear it. So I'm glad that we're not being punished by this, and she gets her opportunity. She should. I would We'll see. But definitely watch this game. The game is on June 1st. So is that tomorrow or the day after tomorrow? How many days are there in May?
Yeah. I'm gonna give you something. So Cory Bethune's on the training squad. You just read off the attacking talent. I think it's very much unlikely she makes. If it was a 23-man roster, I think there's a good chance she would be brought along. 18-man roster with the Olympics, because the Olympics are dumb and stupid in that way. I don't think you'll see her. You'll see her make the squad. She's back for the rest of the year. There's a little bit of a break. There'll be maybe a few league matches. There's been obviously right now runaway favorite for Rookie of the Year. What are your thoughts? Odds she wins Rookie of the Year and MVP?
Both. Ooh, it's tough. There's a lot of competition on the MVP front from players who did not start at the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
Barbara Banda is feeling to me like a very, very strong option for MVP at the end of the year, just based on her turn. The fact that Orlando is unbeatable, and it's largely because of her. I think Croy wins rookie of the year. I think pretty easily. Mm-hmm. I think MVP might be a challenge to get the double. But
what are the chances she makes like the top three? Like, what if she's like listed as the finalist?
High.
Okay.
I think I get a vote, so I think I think high.
But yeah. So fun things happening with the Spirit. I definitely encourage everybody to get out there and watch. Because we didn't talk much about Cory Bethune because she's just been like excellent. I feel like every game we talk about, like she does. I mean, I think it was I forget which goal it was. I'm not sure if it was against Angel City, but just the way she kind of holds the ball and I think it was a pass to Sar on that goal, but just holds the ball like the entire Angel City, defense just kind of collapses on her, and she holds it for just the right time, makes the pass right to Sar for the goal in that 36th minute. Like that was just, I was just like, geez, man, that's like veteran style stuff. Like doesn't hesitate, doesn't panic, just patient, waits for the moment when that defender cuts in and says, okay, now play the ball.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're playing Utah this weekend. They should paddle Utah. So
yeah,
I said that last time, but I think now they're on a real burner right now. So expect to see a good game there.
Saturday it's 7:30. I don't know streaming or what the streaming looks like. It's on Ion.
I said that, but then I just realized that all of these. Wait, when is the Utah Royal game for the Spirit? Is that this weekend?
That's this weekend.
Okay.
So no. Next weekend. June 8th.
So all these players will be back, correct?
I think so.
Or are we losing them for this game?
I think there is a break for the international window.
June 4th is the second game. So yeah, they should be back for next weekend. Okay, good. Because I was going to say there's a very narrow universe in which the Utah Royals can beat the Washington Spirit right now, but it would be if 7 of their starters were not available. That would be that universe. That would be how you would do it. So
yeah, they'll be back.
NWSL
taking off for the international break. DC United not playing during the international break. Fun times.
Well, that would hurt us less.
Well, we're still missing. We're missing Maddie Petula.
And when you only have 14 players, one player missing is a serious problem. So yes. that is fair.
Well, he's missing for the game anyway. So.
That's true. Somebody, Kiefer said on Twitter, he's like, "I'm not saying he did it, but that's a very veteran move to get a red card before international break. If it wasn't or not, he certainly gets an early plane ride back home. So there's that. Anyway, yeah, I think you should see 3 points. Watch these international games. They're gonna be fun. They're gonna be a lot of Spirit action. And then if you're at Audi Field on Saturday, come say hi, and hopefully we shock the world and steal a point again with a shorthanded squad. You think maybe we win, right?
I think we win. I'm gonna go on a limb. I'm gonna say we bounce back. I'm gonna say the team as a whole comes together. I think they put together a good performance. I'm gonna say a 2-1 victory.
I'll say 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. And then, we'll do the Spirit game. We'll do the Spirit prediction next week. How about that?
Yep, we'll do that.
Because we got a week between that. All right, folks, that'll do it. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will catch you guys next week. Vamos.